Hi, welcome to Atomic Motherhood. Hi, I'm your host Nifty, and this is Atomic Motherhood, a space for raw, honest conversations about emotional imbalance, childhood wounds, and how quietly they shape the way we love, lead, and live. Because healing starts with awareness, and parents, we are the architects of next generation. When we begin to heal ourselves, we begin to rewrite the future. Together, we'll unpack emotional truths, challenges, generational narratives, and take real steps towards change. One conversation at a time, one emotionally balanced step at a time. Hi, we have a guest, Madhusudan from I
Raipur now, I can say, huh. And this moment from Raipur, Chhattisgarh.
Okay, from
Yes,
Raipur. And can you briefly introduce yourself with our audience?
sure. First of all, thank you, Nifty. Thank you so much for doing the work which you're doing. I think it's a very, very valuable work. It takes time, just to be able to do this work because it's just not easy to address these issues and this particular topic because it allows you to be vulnerable in so many sense. So thank you for creating this safe space and to do this. My name is Madhusudan, and so my background, I was born in Chhattisgarh, but then I went to boarding school at the very young age of 5. And then, so I would love to share about that. But then later on, I went to US to study films, came back and became a wanderer, a pilgrim. I traveled from one ashram to another ashram, like ashram hopping, met Dalai Lama, Shankaracharya, all these Aghori ashrams. I was making a film which was called A Little Bit of Sin and A Little Bit of Zen. And so that it took me a year to do all of that. And then finally settled in Bombay, where I started a film production company to use media for social change. And then after that, I did a couple of experiments over there, working with the youth and how we can combine filmmaking and with the social change and with the nonprofits. After that, my life took me to Ahmedabad, to the Gandhi ashram, where I slowly started exploring what does it even mean before social change comes inner transformation. So I started using stories and media for inner transformation. Post Gandhi ashram, I was also in Auroville, Pondicherry. I stayed there for 3 years, and now finally back to my homeland, which is Chhattisgarh. And my exploration as a pilgrim, so I call myself as a pilgrim storyteller, and I like to use or explore the medium of filmmaking and storytelling to connect, to heal, and basically to connect with yourself, with each other, and with the divine or nature, whatever you would like to call. So that's my exploration through stories. I like to do that.
That is so beautiful, and I actually forgot to say, but he's a very good storyteller. I heard some stories of yours in that event, so I found it very fun. And yeah, if you could like also briefly tell about your fatherhood journey. So
Sure.
first question starts from there. So the first question is, what are some of the emotional experiences or challenges a father goes through, especially the ones that often goes unnoticed or unspoken? Many times a father in a world is overlooked, and we would love to hear what is truly like from your side, like what things you experienced, what challenges you found, and whatever a fatherhood is all about. Because fun fact is, this is our first episode with a father.
Wow, thank you. I'm humbled that you chose me and to share my story. I was thinking I don't know how much value I'll be able to add on this, but I can just share my personal bit and my learnings. I would say, um, being a father, I remember listening to a quote long time back. Then a child gives birth to a parents. It's
Hmm.
not it's the other way around. It's like, a child gives birth to a mother, a child gives birth to a father. All the preparation which we think of being a father, all the imagination, all the stories is prepares you nothing, especially when you become a father. And it's something else. It's a very magical alchemy process, when you hold the little one in your hands and in your arms, and for the first time you realize that your life is not the same anymore, in many ways, because um, So I have two daughters, two lovely daughters, incredible, fiery, and full of love, and with all shades in between. So the elder one is 13 years old, and the younger one is six, going to be six right now. The elder one name is Reva, named after the Narmada River, which means to flow, and the second one is called Sufi, Sufi Purna. And so I can say, like, really being a father of these two incredible souls have been a learning journey for me, and a journey to wanting to be a better human being, to wanting to be a better version of myself. And I can say with all utmost honesty that I've failed. I keep failing many times. It's not been easy, especially for the first one with Reva. When she was born, and I was after she was born, and after 3 years, actually I went through a personal crisis. I went to divorce, and that was very, very painful, because you keep hearing stories about how the broken relationships can affect the child and could affect in a very deep way. And I was extremely worried how that could affect my elder daughter. And so that was a very personal phase that time. So part of me was screaming to be true to myself. Another, and I wanted to to grow her in the atmosphere where she doesn't seem any authentic. She could see that what does authentic relationships mean. So me and my ex-wife, we are very, very dear friends. We were very good friends before our marriage. We're still very good friends right now, with a lot of God's grace. And our daughter is I've had one of the most wonderful relationship with her, even though sometimes with the distance, because I know it's rooted in trust, it's rooted in honesty. We're able to share a lot more things very openly, and that way, although she's just 13 right now. I remember when I was when she was just 4 or 5, I would often tell her, Reva, I love you so much. And she would look and say, no, no, I don't love you so much. I love Mama very much. And it would break my heart that time a little bit. But then I would say, okay, you love me a little bit, no? I said, yeah, I love you a little bit. I said, that's enough for me to start with. That love is enough for me to go on, to do that. And then I would tease her, okay, tell me how much do you love me? How can you measure that? Okay, show me your heart. Can you really measure your heart? He said, and then I would tell her, love is love. You can't really, what is more love, what is less love. Even if you can love somebody, I think that is enough. And that opens my heart tremendously. So we would have this playful, because she would tease me, she would want to, and then so I found my way to be connected with her in a very invisible way. So I believe as a souls, we choose our parents, we choose our companions, we choose even the strangers who cross our path. And I firmly believe that. So even all our mistakes, all our learnings, they come from many, many lifetimes. And my elder daughter, I just learned how to be connected, even though when we were not physically present. And that's a tough call, because that's, how can you love someone and through distance? And although we had a very beautiful relationship, me and my ex-wife, there was no, we were able to talk to each other, we were able to meet each other with the daughter. But so that has been my early with my elder daughter, and I can go on and on. I mean, it's many more learnings, but the principal learning was how to be able to never give up on love. Love can take different forms, and just know that we're all connected deeply. Either we know it or we don't know it, and that is gives us light to move forward, and to never give up on that. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I like your daughter's name. Those are like very unique and sweet names to call.
No, it's sweet, but also fire, huh? I remember, and I also believe that children choose their own name. I mean, we always have different names, but when they are born, you just have to be allow the name to choose them. You're allowed to come to them. So Reva came because we had done a small pilgrimage to Mount Narmada River, and then that's how the name came. And the Sufi, and because me and my current wife, we had gone to a Sufi pilgrimage in Konya, in near Istanbul, where Rumi was born and stayed. So we had gone there. So we named her Sufi Purna. So I asked Sufi one day, Sufi, do you know what your name means? And so I was expecting, because I had told her that it means love. So she told me, yeah, I know it's love. And I said, and then she looked at me and said, it's love and fire. And so it's absolutely. So children, I think they find their own meaning in their names. They adapt that, and we just have to allow that to grow in their own names. Yeah.
Hmm, that is beautiful. Um, uh, we have second question. Like I'll be going through the questions, so
Yes.
I can know more about. So second question is: looking back to your childhood, how did you perceive fatherhood? Like from
Yes.
seeing your dad, and also how did your father or your father figure influence your idea of what it means to be your dad?
So when you think of father, or at least when I think of my father, the first thought which immediately comes right now is protection. Because it's like the big banyan tree, which is always protecting you from all weathers. And
Hmm.
growing up, so I grew up in a traditional Marwadi, background where parents don't express so much about their love. You never hear them saying "I love you," but that you can feel that and tremendously. So they're very protective. They're very protective about you, about your life. So I think that protection comes first, but also with that protection comes certain shadows as well, because then you have to always, because the path you took, like the path I took, was very unconventional. It was not into business or enterprising, but more being an artist or even wanderer or a pilgrim, which you can't really articulate or you can put them in a box. So
Yeah.
that becomes very difficult. So I think, and I went to a boarding school at the age of 4.5, and because I come from a very small village, and there was not many good schools over there. So my parents really wanted for me to have the best education. So I went to a boarding school around 3 hours away from my village, and probably the first child to go from my village. So I think growing up, I didn't see him quite often, um, but I knew he was there as a protection, always there for me, to do that. So it's a mixed, bittersweet feeling. It was a mixed feeling of longing of that motherhood, of being pampered and cared, and
Hmm.
when boarding school it becomes difficult, and also the feeling of gratitude and thankful because I could go, and that's why I could live the lot of other choices I made in my life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And if is there anyone else who was your father figure, kind of a person who changed
Uh,
your perspective on fatherhood?
Yes. So I think fathers could be many. I mean, that role of the father. Like, so I have many teachers, luckily, in my life. One of my other father figure is Jayesh Bhai, who lives in Ahmedabad, in the Gandhi Ashram. So with him, I found this love. So I think any person where you could feel this unconditional love. I call this like no exit plan, right? So like with parents, there's no exit plan. No matter how hard or bittersweet relationship you have, you can fight with them, you can stop talking to them, and you can have tremendous love, but they are not ever going to give up on you. Basically, you can't run away. You can't exit that relationship, right? It's yours for the lifetime, or at least this lifetime. So I think any place where you feel that kind of safe space, that where you can just that unconditional love is there, where that I have this as my anchor, is the father figure. It could be with the as a father figure in terms of age, but also could be a younger one. It could be a companion. It could be a different ways. Basically, it doesn't has to be a in terms of only the age. So I've had, yeah, Jayesh Bhai has been one. Then I have my other teachers. There's another teacher of mine, Annette Kaiser. She is like my another protection guide. She's my like a mother, really like more like father, because she is like this protect guide, and my other teachers as well. So yeah, these two currently are very very visible in my life in terms of that protection. Uh,
Hmm. That is so beautiful. I feel like, yeah, we all have that one is our father, and then other who we see as father figure.
yes, yes.
Uh, Third question is, what is one piece of advice or an insight you would like to share with parents today, whether from your own journey or your observation? What do you feel really, really like kind of matters in your parenting? Like, whatever you feel is something that should person do with their children?
So in my parenting, I think that connection, I think connection with the child, or that is I think is the most important. I think, and how we develop, I think we find different ways of developing it. But I think what I've learned is the children like to play, and I think through
Mm,
playing is the more than anything is they just want your time or your attention. And I think, and they would like to play with you in that sense. So like me and my daughters, both of them, we would do this. So especially with the elder one, when I would travel, I would tell her stories. I would send her voice or video messages, of telling. So stories became for me a very beautiful platform, a medium to connect, telling stories, listening to stories. Then with the younger one, I play this game. So I would give her three words, and she would give me, Papa, okay, make a story right now. Take a fan, this table, and a cat. And then I would, I have to make immediately a story. There's a fan which was not working, and the cat was feeling very hot. And suddenly there's a table, so she jumped on the table and tried to reach on the fan. And suddenly the fans got started, and the cat got worried. I mean, this I'm just making up right now. It could be something very silly. It doesn't have to make sense, but it just has to flow. And you have to. So these stories became a fun way to connect with each other. So I would say find your medium to connect, is one of the most important, whatever allows you to have that time. And authenticity is, sometimes we would get angry, we would get, so I think too much pampering or too much, they know the children are very, very sensitive. They're just, like really gods. They feel the more than the words, they feel our energy. So one thing I would like with my children is that to I can say that I've been authentic, or I can at least trying to be authentic. There are many times I may not be able to. I might tell myself stories that I am, but at least can I try? Can I try to do that? And I think that allows them the safe space to also be themselves in that sense. So that's listening to them is what I'm learning from them. To really listen to what's behind the words, what's behind, just to listening, getting to the energy rather than to do. And it's difficult. So I think being a father is a constant lifelong learning journey, and I think God really gives us an opportunity again to learn, to love, to really love, to even understand what love. बोलते हैं ना, प्रेम प्रेम सब कोई कहे प्रेम न चीन्हे कोई. Everybody talks about love, but very few are able to know love. And I think being a
yeah.
parent, you get a glimpse really, and it's an opportunity for us to really go deeper in really what it means to love. When your whole body is screaming, when you get angry at them, or when they define you, or everything, but you still don't give up. You don't give up. And so I think it's a beautiful journey. I would say if we take it as a journey to learn to love, then it could be a beautiful journey. Yeah.
Uh, and we can go to the fourth question, which is, in your view, what can parents do help their children become emotionally balanced, better at handling complex feelings? Where we are curious about your perspective on emotional nurturing or resilient building in children's, like how they can handle the most complex emotions in their teenage years or in their adult life.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm really learning. I just hope I can do a good job in it. I doubt myself because I really hope, and I think I can only learn that from my children. I can just be honest that I don't know. I really don't know. You teach me what do you need, and I think just being open and to be able to say I don't know, because I'm not prepared for this. Nobody prepares you to be a father, and we see things, we can read things, but to do that and to really face every day-to-day life is two different things. So I would say, like with my elder one, I tell her I don't know. Please help me, and show me my blind spots. Show me, if you don't feel safe enough to talk to me, help me to find that safe space. Because it's just not about me wanting to help you. It's you're helping me being me. It's the other way around. So it's not like trying to help or fix. It's a relationship, which is you coming from a space that I don't want to come and fix you or help you, because when you want to help others, you see them as weak. If you want to fix things, you see others as broken. But when you meet them at their equal, then you see them as whole. So I would say I would like to meet them as a whole who knows so much more than me, and I can only able to hold that space where they can express, they can share, and which would allow them to have their own healing. Because no matter whatever we do, there's always be something, some trauma, some ways of because we are human beings, no, and we make mistakes. We constantly make mistakes, and no matter how much we try, there's always will be something which we have not done. So all we can do is to accept that awareness is, I would say, first, as in your podcast you were talking about. First is the awareness, then comes acceptance, and then comes transformation. So first, the awareness will come only when I'm able to have a conversation with them, or they're able to bring. Sometimes they may not even able to bring the awareness because they may not able to communicate properly. They're going. So I think first trying to bring awareness, then acceptance, and then transformation. So I think with these steps, I hope I can do that, which would allow them to share. And I tell them it's okay if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to share with me. Find somebody else, but just know I'm there. I'm there whenever it's like just uh, unconditional backup. For anything you just need me. So then that allows them that freedom that to do that. Yeah, I think all they just want to hear behind every word is that I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I think this is what we have to make sure that we have to keep telling them that in some form or the another. Yeah, that I'm not giving up no matter what. You know that there is no exit plan in this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, while hearing this, I got this one more question in my head. What was your form of love in your childhood that you feel that whenever someone is doing something for you, made you feel loved?
Yes. Um, so many things. I think so. When I think of love, I think of my grandfather. My grandfather, because as a child, he would tell me stories again. That's how I got that from him. Um, from my mother, I mean, so think about it. My mother sent me like to boarding school when I was just 4.5. Like, I'm not even, I remember my mother would say I couldn't even tie my shoelaces. I couldn't even tie my pajamas, I was just such a baby. Like, even like when I would come back home, she would still give me milk on the bottle once in a while just to put me to bed. And at that tender age, so that was fierce love. I could ask her mother, why did you send me so young? He said, because you were getting so spoiled here, because I was the only male child, and it was, you were getting a brat, you were becoming a brat, and here the opportunity came, and I felt this would be good for you. And everybody else was telling my mother that how could you send such a young child, away from you? And so that is fierce love. So sometimes how can we see the love behind the spoken words, in the actions, in the invisible, is what I would say has become the learning experience for me. Even today, I mean, my father and my parents sometimes have these difficult conversations. We have our own struggles and sometimes conflicts and the fight, but behind that is always that care, and it's okay. They have their own way to care for you, and you also have to be authentic to yourself. So it's a dance, really, altogether. Yeah. So yeah, I think people have shared love with me in their own forms, and you don't understand it in that particular moment. But when you come back, you look at it in the hindsight. With my parents, with my grandparents, with my aunt would ask me. But I think asking questions is another form of love. Really taking interest in somebody's life. अच्छा क्या हुआ अच्छा कौन से दोस्त थे अच्छा किससे मिले अच्छा क्या क्या किया so I think everybody deep down we want to feel heard, right? So when somebody takes genuine interest in your life, अच्छा मुझे बताओ क्या क्या किया आज किससे किससे मिले अरे नहीं नहीं बताना है अच्छा then you just you don't push it too much, but you just somebody is genuinely wanting to know, want to participate in your life, want to have a slice in your life,
Yeah.
and that's when I think is the one beautiful form of love. Yeah.
Yeah. I truly agree on that with you.
Yes.
Fifth question is, can you share a little about your inner journey from being a man to becoming a father? What shifts, feelings, or realization have you experienced in your path?
Ah, yeah, it's so when you become a father, I think one of the major shift happens is between your spouse with your partner, because suddenly, like, just I think you feel like, or I felt this withdrawal syndrome, like now I have to share my wife with my daughter or with my child. It's the other way around. And now the child comes and sleeps between us, and now it just takes most of our time, and it's difficult for mother, and I'm sure with every, because they go through so much more hormonal and daily, because their mind, my wife would tell me, never gets switched off. It's always there, connected with the child. As a father, we can still, we're looking for that connection, and mothers are looking to connect, to switch off that connection, in some
Yeah.
ways, because it's constantly on, no matter how much your senses are always on alert mode, for the mothers. So as a man, I think, yeah, I think it becomes sort of difficult, because you think you have your dreams, you think you have your plans or your projects, or this, you want to do this, but when the child happens, now everything, for the first 3 years, you're all concerned about changing diapers or meals and poop, and growing up this little angel or the soul, and sometimes even the this notorious being who's there. So I think a lot changes, and I think it shifts from me to we, what I want to what needs to be done. And I think it's a major shift for me, to say, okay, I want to do my pilgrimages, or I want to do my traveling, or I want to do my wandering. But what needs to be done is to be present here, to support my better half, and to be there together in whatever capacity. Even if I can't do anything, even if I can't tie the diaper properly, can I just stand there with her, or at least do a small course, in whatever ways capacity I do. By the way, I put my change diaper changing was my task completely. The second one. So I'm just saying all these little things, which allows you to surrender, to learn. I think I was saying it's an opportunity to learn again, and to really know what it means. You answer your what it really means to be a man anymore now. Is it just outer projection of your doing, or, as I like to say, we are human beings, not human doings? So your existence changes from doing to being, more of a being, and your presence, rather than what you can do, to where how present you can be to this situation. So I think, yeah, I think that has been, yeah, and I'm sure many more, but yeah, to be present is one of the major transformation. Yeah.
And was there a difference between raising both children's? Like, first you became father, newly father, then after when you became like a father of a second child, was there a shift in you?
Yes, I think with my second child, I became. I remember the first one. With Reva, um, I was still doing a lot of preference would still go to the work. I was still would not, but I realized, like, on the that ki, nahi, I think that's more. This is the work. There's no other work more important than this. And so I took out more time with all my learnings. Like, so I think I wanted to be more present, and with Sufi, and just wanted to be there with her, for her, and with her, and participate more, I would say. And I knew the more I would participate with my second, I was getting more closer to my first. So it was like this invisible bond. So saying ki, it's like you love something else, but that love is going transforming something else. So I, and especially with my first one, we were not staying in the same place. So my direct connection to her heart was, do something what I can do here. It's like, so for example, there's a war happening in Palestine, or in Iran and in Israel, and there's this such suffering. So what can you do? You can, wherever you are, you just sit and you just pray, or you can just send, your love or metta, or in whatever capacity, or, you can do that. So I think that was one of the main fundamental, that you see no difference between the two. You see that they're both, like the, yeah, belong to each other, and we are all, as a soul, we are all as a family, as a soul family, one constellation.
That is beautiful. And are there any like non-negotiable things for you in parenting, like those things you never wanna do in your life or
Yeah.
wanna do in your life?
I mean, yeah, one of the things is definitely not to get physical in terms of no matter how angry we get at each other, we just like this is absolutely another non-negotiable is the safety. I think if you as a father, if I feel there's a certain safety, and even if the child doesn't understand, and I could be wrong, but if in that particular moment it feels this is I have to do this to protect it, I would do that. And so I think safety would be one, at least till they are grown up enough to start taking care of themselves. um, I mean, I'm sure many. I think one is yes, and also no matter how much we fight or we have moments, but back and to come back again and to say I'm sorry, or, if I was wrong, to say that. So I think the making up is important. So you don't sleep without making up, or at least the next day. So that's important. So that's non-negotiable. That you just not to become like quiet or withdrawn, because my inherent nature had been like a turtle. When conflict or not wanting the conflict. So that has been key. Okay, not to withdraw anymore, or at least to say if I'm wrong. Yeah. So those are I can think right now. There could be many, but I think yeah.
Yeah. So I think this was a great podcast. I felt very amazing, and thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And we can end the podcast here. So we will be signing off.
Sure. Thank you, Nifty. Thank you once again for listening.